Our last order in Mammalia that we will be looking at is Cetacea. And Cetacea are animals such as whales, dolphins, and porpoises. And in this order, we find some of the largest animals on the planet. In fact, the blue whale is found in this order, and it is the largest animal to have ever lived on Earth. So some of the biggest animals are found in this order. However, there's still a lot that scientists don't know about the majority of the species that are in this order because, again, a lot of them are very large. It's hard to get them into a lab to try and study them. So there's still a lot we don't know about them. Where they're found worldwide, so all over, North Pole, South Pole, and everywhere in between. They're strictly aquatic, meaning they have to be in the water at all times. Most of the cetaceans are marine, meaning they're found in salt water, but you do have some freshwater and even estuarine species or like brackish water species. So you can get like river dolphins and stuff like that. But for the most part, you'll have cetaceans found in the ocean. In this order, if you have like a family group of animals that stay together, they're called a pod. So you have like a pod of dolphins or a pod of orcas. So they're called a pod. Some characteristics of cetaceans: their bodies do resemble fish because, again, both fish and cetaceans live in the water for their entire life, so they need to be very streamlined in order to reduce drag, so both of their bodies are very streamlined. In cetaceans, they have what's called a blowhole, and that's basically their nose, and that blowhole is located on the top of their head. So it'd be like if you took your nose and you moved it to the back of your head, that is where the cetacean's blowhole would be located. And that's located there so that when they come up to breathe air, they can just stick the top of their head out of the water to breathe without having to like stick their whole head out in order to breathe. So the blowhole is located at the top of their head. They do have lots of blubber. Blubber is how they stay warm. And then they're actually going to not really have a neck. So they're not really going to be able to move their head separately from the rest of their body. And this is good because it would actually take a lot of energy for them to, if they did have mobility in their neck, to hold their neck in place and keep it like in a straight line with the rest of their body in order to cut through the water and form like a wedge shape to reduce drag. So because they can't move their head separately from the rest of their body, it actually reduces the amount of energy that they have to spend in swimming. So that's good. They do have ears, but they're internal. You don't see any sort of external like ear hole or outer part of the ear. They do have like little holes, but those are plugged with wax plugs so that water can't get into those ears. So that helps them to keep their ears dry so that they don't get an ear infection. They are hairless for the most part, except for maybe a few hairs that are found on their head. So they are mammals, so at some point in their life they're supposed to have fur or hair in order to be placed into this phylum. Class. And they do have hairs. If you look at a humpback whale, if you see like the big bumps on their face, those are actually their hair follicles. So they do have hair at some point in their life to be placed into this class. They don't have sweat glands because they're found in the water, and if they're warm and they're sweating, they're actually losing water and it's not doing anything for them. So the way that sweat works is when you sweat, the water evaporates off your skin and goes into the air, and it takes energy with it and it helps to cool you off. Well, if you're found in water and you live in water, if you sweat, there's nowhere for it to go to evaporate. So it's pointless to sweat if you live in the water. So these animals actually don't have sweat glands so that they can conserve their water and maintain their osmotic balance, which is one of the reasons why when a whale gets beached or something, it dies because it can't maintain its own body temperature. It doesn't have sweat glands to cool itself off. The forelimbs of the animals are their flippers, stabilizing flippers to help them to swim. And then their tail is called their fluke, and it's made up of a bunch of connective tissue, and it is what propels them through the water. They also have a countercurrent circulatory system with cold blood and warm blood flowing in opposite directions next to each other in order to help them to conserve some of the heat, like we saw in fish and also in fish gills. So these types of animals will use blubber and also their countercurrent blood circulation in the extremities in order to make sure that they stay warm, because they do go up to frigid polar and Antarctic waters. So they do have to be able to stay warm. And so you can see in this picture, the red would be the artery, the warm artery coming away from the center of the body. And then the blue are the veins that are returning to the core of the body. And so this warm blood passes next to the cold blood, and you get heat exchange from the warm blood to the cold blood, and it helps to warm up that cold blood before it gets back to the core of the body. So that's how they stay warm.